Can I ask you a question?
Always.
How has your week been?
Bad. I just
so
told
you've been
you.
Sick. We talked off mic that you were sick.
I told you, and I said I don't want to tell them about my throwing ups.
There's a couple things I want to tell you.
Okay,
podcast
great.
related.
Great. Did you die? Almost die?
I did not almost die.
Did you die?
Hey, knock on wood. Not yet. Okay.
New toys in here. Love it.
Did you see you can't see it on camera, but do you see that dirt bike painting? That's new.
Oh, love it. Love it. That's not new though. You just hung it up. I've seen that before.
And this fish is pretty new. You know what
Oh my God. I haven't seen the fish. Does it sing?
No, that's real.
It's real?
I found it at a thrift store. Some guy caught it in the 80s.
Oh my God. I told you.
Yeah.
I got a taxidermy two-headed duck.
Yeah, dude.
Duckling.
Okay. So, man, do I start with the fun one or do I start with the bitch fest one? You know?
Bitch fest.
We got and I knew this was going to happen. We got some haters.
I know, and I do want to address this.
And the comments.
I would like to address this, and you know what? Hugo, clip it. I want to address this because we were talking about how we were talking about having 2 living rooms growing up, and I said something about us being white trash, and I stand by that because white trash is not defined by how much money you have. I would argue that the most white trash people I know are some of the wealthiest people I know. And if you think I would come on this fucking podcast with a microphone in my hand and call poor people garbage, you got another fucking thing coming. I'm talking about people who have money and decide to spend it on jet skis instead of private school. Go on.
I think you summed it up quite nicely, actually.
I was really locked and loaded for that. Sorry to take that from you, but I was pissed off. Wow. I commented on the TikTok.
I know.
And the person liked it, which means I won.
I'm going to read our comments. And I knew because when I was looking at the clips, I was like, oh, how ironic. It's the obvious low-hanging fruit, of course. It's like, oh, your nice living room and your shitty living room, white trash, blah, blah, blah. I totally get that. I'm not defending
Me
that.
too, but I just think me and those people have different definitions of white trash.
I know, and that's what I want to get into.
Yes.
I think.
Thank you so much for bringing this up, Kevin.
Yep.
I feel so strongly about this, and I always have, and I've been in this fight before.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a fun little convo that we can have here. So, and they're totally right in saying this. I want to start with, I fully understand the optics of this, and so do you. They said, I love the privilege here and how it's referred to as white trash. LOL. Okay. Totally get it. But those are not mutually exclusive.
Thank you.
That's our whole argument. You said a lot of trashy people have way more money than we do. Think jet skis, boats, beach houses, and yes, it's privilege to have an extra room. Great. Did you see what I wrote?
No.
So mine was on the Instagram one.
Oh, I did see it. It was long.
I was just like...
But you were right.
Yeah, he said, did you call yourself white trash while talking about your house having 2 living rooms?
By the way, you didn't. I did.
Yeah, right?
Me, I did.
And I said, I know how that sounds, and I was waiting for this comment. 1, ask anyone on my block. You could tell from our overgrown lawn, oil stains, and broken mailbox that we were house poor. It stuck out like a sore thumb. 2, just because you scraped together a few bucks at a time when the banks were practically giving away loans for houses.
Thank you.
Doesn't mean you had any semblance of class. So let's talk about the distinction between
poor
having money
and being trashy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because here's the thing, I don't think that poor people are trashy.
Because
I think almost exclusively rich people are.
If anything, that's kind of a shitty thing to say.
Yes.
I would really like to have these people's
get them in here. Get them in the room, okay?
Because it kind of sounds like they had more money and that they have
They think that being poor is trashy. I think that using your money stupidly is trashy. I think that you don't need 2 living rooms. You don't need 2 Christmas trees.
Sure.
You have kids that need shit, and instead you have 2 Christmas trees. That's trashy. That's what I'm saying. Being more concerned with optics and fun and spending your money on that is gauche and trashy.
I'm very curious if any of these people ate moldy bread.
Right.
My dad used to pick out the moldy pieces
and
put the rest of the bread back in the bag. And I look back and I'm like, well, that's not what a rich person does.
And my family did have money.
Yeah.
Not a crazy amount. I definitely was I went to school with everyone I went to school with had more money than me. But then we had more money. I lived in a very nice neighborhood where the house next to mine was far away, but was a trailer. But then my house was really nice. So we were the wealthiest people on our side of the neighborhood. And then I was the poorest person at my school, whatever that is, you know? But Not the poorest. That's not true. But you know what I mean. We were like middle class, straight up middle class, sometimes upper middle class,
that's
depending.
That's the thing, too. We got to keep in
I
mind.
don't know what the classes actually are.
No, that's an interesting point to bring up, too, that, like, there was a time when this country had a middle class.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
We couldn't, like, go on super fancy vacations, but we could fly to Florida to stay in my grandpa's condo there.
We used to drive to Florida a couple times. We drove to Branson a couple times.
Yeah.
Never went to Europe.
But
I was
I also knew people who couldn't go on. I know people who couldn't go on vacation at all because their parents couldn't take off of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember like we would have like one family vacation a year, and it was piling the kids in our van and staying at like Motel 6s on our way to Florida or Branson.
My whole thing is, you can't tell me you've never seen a trashy lake house.
Yeah, totally.
Those people own 2 houses. They own 2 houses, let alone 2 living rooms. They probably have 4 living rooms total.
That's interesting.
And my point is, a lot of those fucking lake house people are garbage.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
You own a lake house so that you can go out on your boat and listen to Kid Rock and fly your American flag. You're white trash. Sorry.
Well, so let's zoom out a little bit. Let's talk about this.
God, I'm so mad about this.
Well, hold on. How do we define white trash?
Well, it's kind of it's kind of fluid.
Well, I think if we settled on an agreement of what we're talking about when we say trash, and I know we're on the same page, but I just mean for anybody listening.
Yeah.
When I think you summed it up pretty well with like spending money on the wrong things.
Yes.
I think is a good way to put it. Like if somebody, I don't know, gets a bonus at their job, let's say they work like a blue collar job and it's Christmas time and you get like a little bump.
Right.
Are you going to go out and you're going to spend that on something stupid like a jet ski or maybe a bunch of booze? Or are you going to
save it?
Or are you going
to put it in your kid's education fund?
Right. Because one of those is a pretty fucking trashy move.
And also, you can't tell me that you don't know an electrician who makes more money than anyone you know.
So trash is a matter of taste.
And that electrician has ATVs in their garage.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And 7 cars that are on cinder blocks in their front lawn.
Yeah. That's funny.
But they have a huge house. I grew up with so many people who owned an electrical company.
Yeah.
I don't know why I put that in quotes. That's what they did.
Yeah.
And made so much fucking money. Made more money than like my mom did at her office job. Made more money than like my best friend's parents were her dad was a doctor and her mom was a professor. And we had another friend who had more money than both of us because her dad owned an electrician company. And we were white trash. They were white trash. We would go to their house, their mansion, put a tarp down on the lawn, put Dawn dish soap on it, plug in the hose, and slide on it all day.
Can I say something real quick?
You're going to tell me that's not trashy?
Okay, take a breath.
I'm just mad. So these people are acting like I think poor people are trashy.
I know, but it's funny because you're using examples of people with wealth that have bad taste, which I agree also falls under the umbrella. And you're making me think of a lot of examples on a small, like I don't know anybody that lived in a big house, or like when you say multiple cars or whatever, right? Yeah. Or multiple houses or whatever. I'm thinking about like how, I don't want to say specific, they might listen, but it's people in my family, you could argue have 2 or 3 cars. However, none of them run.
Right.
Because they're all trying to source parts to make one Frankenstein car.
Right.
So they've gone to like, hey, my buddy's selling his old blah blah Camaro, whatever, for $500. All right, well, how about we work? I'll pay you $250 now, and I'll pay you $250 next month. And now he's got 3/4 of a working car.
Or I have $500 burning a hole in my pocket from.
I had a good night at the casino.
Fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to buy this used Camaro and fix it. Mm-hmm. Is the used Camaro ever going to get fixed?
Maybe. But it's going to take a long time.
It's going to take a long time.
When you said car on cinder blocks, I immediately was like, oh, yeah.
I know,
and it's always like one car is like the parts car.
Yes.
And the other car is the one that you take to and from work.
Yeah, and everybody, and on paper.
That's the one you have to blow into.
On paper, you could be like, so-and-so's family has 8 cars.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Point is, 2 rooms does not equate.
2 rooms, class does not make.
Yeah. Shit, dude, I had another example. What the fuck was it? The house poor thing I mentioned. You know, your family I'm curious where the money, because on my side of the family, I'll speak for myself. My mom, I think was a little bit better to do than my dad. My dad definitely was like the wrong side of the tracks kind of guy.
Yeah.
My mom had a pretty buttoned up, maybe not super, I'll say boring, first marriage, and then I think she like overcorrected when she met my dad, who was just like playing in bar bands and shit, and she was like, oh, you know what I mean,
Kevin. So this is another thing where we're exactly the same on.
So I've told you this before. Like my parents started a business, a catering company, and they had like a little like banquet, like people like have their weddings and stuff. Definitely not the nice. If you want to see pictures, I'll show you. It's by all means not a grand.
I know exactly what it looked like.
It was the wood paneled walls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've gone to baby showers and weddings and things.
Yeah. And so business was doing well for a time. So what did they do? Did they save any of that shit? Did they invest any of that shit? They did not.
Right.
They fucking did not. But what they did do was they bought a big house and some stupid shit like my mom bought a fur coat. My parents had a fucking water bed.
Love that.
The classiest of beds.
Love that. Ew, your parents fucked.
And then after about 10 years of running the business, that kind of nosedives. They go through a divorce and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I mean, you've heard me do this bit. I have a bit about how my dad, his ashes are buried in an unmarked grave.
Right.
Because we didn't have money for a funeral.
Yeah.
So because they had money at one point to buy a couple nice things does not mean that is the life that I grew accustomed to. Nor, and again, money doesn't equate class. But I do want to say that, like, my fucking mom would tell this story all the time about how my dad came out of the house. It was like a snowy morning. My dad came out of the house yelling at her to come back in because she was shoveling the driveway in a fur coat that he bought her.
Yeah.
Right? That is not some heirloom. It is the only warm coat that she had.
Right.
And also, why the fuck is she shoveling and not him?
You're also telling me that if you drove by your neighbor's house and the mom was outside in a fur coat shoveling, you wouldn't go trash. You'd you know what I mean? Like, and my mom's family, I will say this, my mom's family is wealthy.
We'll call it new money.
Yes, my grandpa grew up in the Depression.
Okay.
Became the governor of New York. Wealthy. Became wealthy.
Governor?
You knew this.
You might have said it. I forgot.
I've told you this a bunch of times. Everybody knows this about me and forgets because I don't really reflect that.
Right.
So my mom's family has money, right? They are the perfect example of the way that, like, growing up poor, like the way my grandpa did, transcends generations in the way that, like, they still weren't allowed to, like, little things, like weren't allowed to get up from the table if they didn't finish their food, weren't allowed to have milk with dinner unless they finished all their food first. Like, even though he had money, he grew up poor, right? So my dad was the same way. My mom worked and my dad raised us. My dad grew up poor. We were raised the way my dad was raised because he was the one raising us. So we didn't really know we had money until we grew up. Like, we were eating, like, we were eating like Hamburger Helper, being like, this sucks. And we didn't know, we didn't know. My mom's family had money. They used the money to build a perfect replica of an Irish bar in their house. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to tell me that these people are classy?
Our basement was that.
Come on, brother.
Come on, dude.
Come on, brother.
Come on. Yeah, but then
does yours have a name?
I don't think so.
Ours has a name.
No.
Moxie's.
That's fun.
Named after the dog.
That's fun.
Garbage.
Something else worth mentioning, because I know people will. It's so annoying because people want to compete about. Yeah. Well, I actually grew up more poor. Maybe you did.
You probably did.
That's not the argument we're making. When that person made that comment about, like, oh wow, such privilege, it's like, we're not claiming to have not had our own. We're two fucking white people. Like, we are, and we are left-leaning fucking cucks all the way. We are happy.
We will acknowledge our privilege. I'll do a fucking...
to be like, hey, I'm not going to fight you on that.
I'll do a land acknowledgement right now on this podcast.
Yeah, we're not the type of we're not on the political divide to try to make a point out of
we're
that.
Not the type
I totally hear you.
We're not the type of white people who go, not me though.
Yeah, exactly.
Not me though.
Yeah.
I had to work for we're not those white people.
Yeah, so don't worry about that. We don't got to convince us of any of that. Our point is just
the money could have been used better.
Money could have been used better. And I do think part of the way that we're defining trash is like taste.
Yes.
And how resources are allocated.
Think about rich Italians, with a white Christmas tree. Garbage. Rich though.
Rich Italians with a white
Christmas tree. They love a white Christmas tree.
So specific.
But you know exactly what I'm talking about. They love buying a white Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. So that's, but you guys know how we feel.
There are plenty of people that have way better taste than our families that probably had much fewer resources. Absolutely.
Or people that were using their money more responsibly. Mm-hmm. People who had less money and were using it more responsibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. There was a time in this country where the economy, we thought our parents' generation, like they were for sure like, yeah, we'll get a house, whatever. It's like $30.
Yeah.
That's cool. And whatever. I'll buy a bunch of
Two living rooms, that's $20 more. Go for it.
Dude, when we moved my mom out of her house, like when she was like getting all right, gotta like move her out of like the childhood home. Like, dude, the amount of fucking bullshit that these people stock by. And it's why they say people of our generation like spending their money on experiences, because I think every boomer deep down has a little hoarder living inside of them.
Yeah, but also we just have to move every 2 years.
Oh yeah, because we don't own.
That's
actually a great point.
So we always have to move. So why would I buy a bunch of cool shit if I'm gonna move into a smaller place where I'm gonna have to get rid of half of it? As we're surrounded by all your toys.
Yeah, but this is almost all thrifted.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. So I think we put that to rest.
Yeah, we're good on that. Or we
just made our case worse. I don't know. Are you still mad at us? Leave a whatever.
Leave a whatever.
Start a fight with us.
I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
I don't give a fuck.
Well, it's funny. Well, those comments put us in a weird position where we have to like defend our point of view, which is why I was like, well, let's just define it, because they probably have a different idea of what we're talking.
Yes.
I don't need to beat this dead horse, but it does put me in a weird situation, which I never want to be that person who's having like a poverty Olympics with somebody.
Me neither.
And that's not even what we're claiming.
My argument on this thing has always been, you can have money and be trash. I had money and was trash.
Yeah. Did I have to share one room with like a bunch of siblings? No, like I got to have my own bedroom or whatever. That's great. Okay, cool. Does that also mean that I didn't... that I'm trying to think of the most white trash thing I could think of from my childhood, and and I've brought this up before in here before, was using the example of being pulled behind a car on a sled. Is that a classy move?
Have I broken my arm because I was being pulled on a razor scooter by a bike? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I've made my point.
Tubing. I spent a lot of time tubing.
Dude, tubing, brother.
And it's fun.
Oh, fucking yeah, dude.
And I like jet skis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, are we done with that? We're moving on?
I think we're good.
And we're good. Okay.
I think we made our point clear.
Also, before I'm gonna get ahead of this one, because I haven't heard this in a long time. I don't think this is one that got a lot of traction. And I'm a bleeding heart liberal for sure, but sometimes the liberal camp will try out a new thing.
Sure.
And I'll be like, I'm not doing that. Somebody told me one time that the term white trash
was
offensive because it implies
that everyone else is trash.
No, that other races, that you need to put the white in front of it to be like, oh, white people are not inherently trash, and so and it's like,
and it implies that the other races are trash.
I gotta push back on that because every fucking there's trash everywhere. There's trash,
and there's non-trash everywhere.
There is trash amongst race, creed, what tax bracket you're in. You know,
white trash is just a flavor.
It's a flavor of trash.
And it's that, in my experience, it really is that like lake house thing I was describing. Mm-hmm. Go there and tell me that that's not white people doing that goofy shit.
Goofy, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
That's it.
It's white people listening to Kid Rock being goofy as hell. Not saving money for their kids' college.
Okay, the other thing. I was in L.A.
Oh, yeah, Slay.
I told you. I was going to go and do a bunch of shows, but it was on
the fires. Fire. By the way, sad.
Very sad.
We donate.
So, friend of the show, he's been on before. Go listen to his episode. JF Harris was getting married.
Yeah, I love that for him.
Love that for him. Happy. Fun wedding.
I bet.
A comedian wedding.
Love that.
Dude.
Love that.
So we went down. We got in like the night before the wedding, flew the night after the wedding. Just quick in and out because of all the damage and destruction. But everybody I talked to was in high spirits. Everybody's good. Of course, you look at the news and they want you to think the entire city is leveled. It's not like that. There was a lot of damage, of course, but where we were, we didn't actually see anything. But great fucking crew, dude. When you go to a wedding and you get sat at a good table,
I mean,
buddy, had such a great fucking time. You probably don't know Mort Burke. He was more of like an actor, sketch, improviser guy. He does stand up. He's got a funny special out on YouTube. He's actually from my same hometown, and we like have reconnected in recent years. Shout out Mort. But also, John Hastings, so funny. Jenny Zagrino.
Yes.
You know Jenny.
Yeah.
Right?
I know Jenny from the internet. We just met. And we had this thing where we both like...
I kind of just assumed you were buds just because they spent a lot of time in New York. Yeah.
And also, like, we kind of have the same vibe. And did you say they? Is that...
No, they as in...
Her and her husband or something?
No, they...
I don't know. I just didn't want to get it wrong.
I was using they in the traditional sense.
I didn't want to get it wrong if it was they.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say she, so I was asking.
No, she.
I met her the other night, and she was like, we were talking, and I was like, oh, I watched your Don't Tell set. Like, I remembered it because of what she was wearing, because I was like, did you have a Don't Tell set where you were wearing a cool, like, suit? And she was like, yeah, that was me. And I was like, loved it, blah, blah. And we were talking about that, and she goes, so do people always also think you're Maddie Wiener? And I go, brother, let me tell you.
That's really funny.
And we were like, the three of us should do a show where we just act like it's the same person the whole time.
Can I tell you?
And I think that's why you would assume we were friends, because... we're like part of the three comedians who all look like each other.
I love all the comics on a lineup looking like each other as like a bit.
Yeah.
Have I told you about the Bald Kings of Comedy?
Love that.
I want to do a show with like Bobby Condon.
Tyler Snodgrass,
yes. Who else? Eli's bald. Literally anybody fucking bald I can think of. And maybe we should cut. I talked to Tyler about this. Maybe cut this, because if it doesn't, I don't want. Nobody's gonna fucking steal this. I don't know, but I think it'd be so funny if it's like all bald people, and then like whenever it cuts to the crowd, the audience is also all bald.
Love that. That's hilarious.
If every crowd shot was like, you can't fucking tell, like, just go on Craigslist, just be like, are you bald? Free tickets to a comedy show.
Get in here.
Bald Kings of Comedy.
Love that.
It covers like an egg with a little crown on it.
Maddie and I maybe cut this too, but we always say that we should do a show called One Big Shirt, where the two of us wear one big shirt, because our material is also similar, because Jenny, we're similar people.
It's three of you.
And then I was like, we should have Jenny come out before us.
Yeah, dude.
Do a set.
Can I say, by the way, Jenny was one of the groomsmen.
I love that.
Looked fucking great in a suit.
You know what I've been meaning to ask you, and this is fun to do on the pod? I was talking to, sometimes Eli, boyfriend of the pod, and I will talk about like getting married. And we were just like for fun talking about our wedding, because we have these friends who are getting married, and we were like, we were talking about what it's going to be like what their wedding's going to be like versus what ours would be like. And he was telling me that he has this group of guy friends where they all like rotate being best man, but they're all groomsmen. And there's like 6 of them or 8 of them or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I don't have like that many close girlfriends.
Dude.
And then I was like, I'd have to get 2 guys to be bridesmaids.
Fun.
And I was going to ask you, theoretically, you would do that, right?
Of course.
You'd have to wear the dress.
Would you wear a suit at mine?
If you wanted me to, it's your day.
Come on, let's go.
Come on, dude.
Come on, dude.
fun.
So
it's fun to have not gender conforming bridal parties. You know, I love when like the best man is like the guy's sister.
You know what's so this isn't why I brought this up, but I do. Okay, I've thought this before. It's like, wait a second. So I don't know how many people are in a bridal party. I guess it fluctuates.
It's up to you, yeah.
Let's say, I don't know, 6, 8.
Some people have
like
maybe? Like 12.
Okay.
It just depends on like your friend group.
It's typically like an even number on both sides, right?
It's supposed to be.
So let's say Ginny and I got married, right? And would that mean if I were to invite you to be a part of the wedding party, you have to go to her side?
Right.
That doesn't seem fair.
I know.
Come over to my side, dude.
Right.
Like, why? And it's also like...
And I have like close guy friends that aren't like nearly as close with my boyfriend as they are with me. Why should they be...
Let's take this a little bit further.
Why should he have to not have one of his friends so one of my friends can be there?
Why should you have to wear a suit? You can wear a dress on the groom's side,
I'm
right?
saying black dress. If they're all wearing black suits, black dress. If they're all wearing gray suits, gray dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with this. What is this?
I think it's fun.
It is fun.
Also, I'm like in the camp of like, have nobody, but you know, he has this thing where he has to have his friends.
He's got to have his fucking friends or whatever. Okay. So the reason I brought this up was I was sitting at this table and it was these comics and they're +1s and, somebody was talking about somebody who almost died or something like, oh man, I don't think it was Lawn Chair. No, I don't think it was Lawn Chair Larry. But they were talking about something that we had hit on recently. And I was like, oh, you should check out my podcast. It's about near-death experiences. And I was like, the last one we did was on Lawn Chair Larry, right? And they were like, oh my God, I love your podcast.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? And they were like, I listened to a podcast about this thing. Maybe it was Lawn Chair Larry. Let's go with it. About this guy. And then yours got recommended right after it. So I started listening to it.
Love that.
And I've been binging it. And it's just like, we're at the same table.
That's really fun. Across the country.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
One of those rare times when the algorithm works.
I love that. Say.
But yeah, dude, we got a new friend of the pod out of it. And we just so happened to, it's Kismet.
That's right? So great.
Pretty cool.
I love that.
Pretty cool. It's always great to meet a fan.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, man. So those are my updates. Back from LA, unsinged.
Great. I have no updates. I've been sick as a dog.
I'm doing a lot of touring this year.
I know. I'm excited for you.
I'm really excited about it.
I want to do that too, but I have to learn how.
I want to talk to you after about doing some stuff on the East Coast. It'd be fun little road trips.
Don't ever shake my hand like that again. Don't ever fingers only shake my hand.
Charmed.
Oh, I do want to bring back Charmed, I'm sure. I saw this was a podcast clip I saw, so I'm not trying to steal it, and I don't remember who it was. But it's so funny that people used to say that about themselves.
Well, it's us.
Charmed, I'm sure.
As a joke.
The pleasure's all yours?
Yeah, man.
Come on, that's so funny.
I miss wit.
I know.
You know what I mean?
You know when you meet someone who's just funny all the time? Everything they say the funniest way? I love that.
How do I explain wit? Because I feel like that might sound condescending, but there was a time when if you were snappy, somebody like a secretary who's like a real card. She's like a real pistol.
The like Algonquin round table version of being funny.
Thank you for bringing that up. That is such a perfect example.
Yeah. Just being like it was like puns, kind of.
Oh my God. We've talked about a tea party.
When we talked about it, I brought up the Algonquin. I was like, this is the Algonquin round table.
That's what it is. That's what it's got to be.
Yeah.
All right, we're on the same page.
Gang, we already know about this.
2025, for the uninitiated, because we only mentioned this, I think, on one episode. Tea party. Picture this.
And do this with your friends. It's a good idea.
This is what I'm saying.
We haven't done it yet, but I've been recruiting people.
But I think this would be a fun thing. This is a great party idea.
You can have it at your house. It can be. You can not spend a lot of money to do this.
You can find a tea room. You can find a little restaurant. You can do it at your home.
You can thrift a tea set.
Yeah. And you drink tea. And
you get dressed up. You have to get dressed up. And you have little finger sandwiches, which is fucking white bread, cream cheese, and cucumbers. You can do that.
Little cookies, maybe.
A little scone.
A little macaroon.
Bake something.
Fucking bake something.
Bake something. Grow up.
And you drink tea, And you spill the tea.
And nothing leaves the tea party.
You drink literal tea. You spill figurative tea.
As in,
and it stays at the party.
As in, you gossip in a way that is not allowed in polite society.
Yeah.
You say things about people that really should only be said in the privacy of your own home.
You know that
to like your partner who doesn't know that person.
You know that mutual friend
that
you hate?
You just have a feeling about and you don't know if your friends feel the same way. Mm-hmm. Bring that up at the tea party.
Bring that shit up.
Bring that shit up at the tea party. You know your one friend who everyone knows has a drinking problem, but no one said anything? Mm-hmm. Bring him up at the tea party.
Make it happen. Talk shit as a festival, maybe once a quarter, once a season.
I would say once a quarter.
You were going to say once a quarter.
I was going to say once a quarter.
That's great because I just did.
Yeah.
Tea party. I think a tea party.
Send us pictures.
Yes.
But I can't stress enough that you have to get dressed up and you have to make it an event.
Yeah. Because we can
otherwise you're just a bunch of fucking nobodies talking shit.
Well, we can all go to a bar or brunch and talk shit. But I think showing up with the intention of airing your grievances.
Yeah.
While dressed up and having tiny little sandwiches, I just think that's very fun.
I just think that's really fun. I think it's really fun. And also, like, you have an outfit that you can't wear anywhere.
Oh, my God.
Do you know what I mean?
Put on that ugly bridesmaid
dress. I have so many... Like, when our friend Andrea got married,
yeah,
the dress I ordered wasn't going to come in time. Yeah. So I panic bought 8 dresses. And I could only return 4. So I have stuff. Yeah. I have stuff I have to wear.
Yeah, dude. Let's do it.
Tea party.
Do you want to do it in... No, listen, you are the queen of tea.
And thank you so much.
You somehow...
I know everything.
I don't know how you do it. You manage
Well, I have my fingers in little friend groups all over this city.
Yeah.
So people will tell me secrets. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It's good. It's a good person to be.
People tell you little secrets. I also think you know how to dig.
I do know how to dig. I'm also good at just being like, come on, just tell me.
I think you have a spidey sense.
Just tell me.
I think you have a spidey sense for when like a new relationship isn't going well or when somebody...
Yes, or when 2 comics are fucking, I always can tell before anyone else.
That's a great example.
I go, these 2 people, they keep showing up at each other's shows that they're not booked on. Mm-hmm. They don't usually do that.
Every time
they're having sex.
Every time I've heard about a relationship, I've heard about it a month or 2 early because of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I have the tea.
So I don't know if I can provide much in the way of gossip.
But you can provide in the way of opinion on the gossip.
I'm saying this because I'm thinking while we're laying this out for our listeners, you're probably racking your brain like, some of you are like, I know exactly who I want to bitch about. Some of you are like, oh, I don't know, I'm fine. It doesn't matter because I think, look, I want to absorb. I want to be a sponge.
Yes.
All right?
Also,
I want to hear it.
One quarter.
I want to hear it so bad, and I need to justify me being there.
Yes.
So don't worry if you can't. If you can be a facilitator of a tea party, you've earned your keep.
I'll say this. If you don't have the gossip, make the reservation.
That's
or
what
make the
saying.
Sandwiches.
That's literally what I was going to say.
Or thrift the tea set.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one quarter, you get to be the star. You have all the tea. Next quarter, you get to be an audience member.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know what I mean? We'll all take turns. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Love this.
I could also I could try to start getting people to gossip at me. I think there's something about...
It's a skill for sure.
Yeah. I don't think guys do that as much.
And I also think that's why I have all the tea, because they do it with women. So, like, when I'm alone with a guy we're friends with, if we, like, are on a show together and we don't know anyone else, brother, he's about to tell me everything.
I think I am, too. I think I don't know. I think there's just like a disarming nature or something.
Yeah.
To confiding.
I'm also good at convincing people I won't tell anyone what they're telling me.
Yeah. And you come on this podcast.
And you know why I'm good at convincing people of that? Because I usually don't.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely usually won't.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes.
Good damage control just now.
But that's true. But sometimes I go, I'm going to tell Kevin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm trying to think if I've told you any sensitive information, because if I have, everybody knows.
Well, it also but it also does have to do with
Lizzy,
the hierarchy.
I love you, but I do not trust you.
Listen, it also has to do with the hierarchy of friendship.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to tell someone who is a lesser friend to me something about you.
No, of course.
But I am going to tell you something that they said about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think people know that.
Mm-hmm. Anything I've told you, Andrea knows. for example, probably.
Maybe, but you guys are pretty equal.
Yeah, I feel that.
Also, I feel like anything you would tell me, you would probably like end up telling her.
I can't remember the last time I've told you something that I felt sensitive about. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So I can't even come up with any examples. But you said this a long time ago about how not drinking has become like a superpower because people around you get drunk and spill.
Yeah. And you remember. They spill and you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. And that's been working quite well for you.
Yep. That's why I stay at the bar till 3.
Yeah.
Because that too, it's fucking secret time, baby.
Yeah.
Give me that. Give me that.
Oh, you pry too.
Oh, you think that guy doesn't deserve to be passed at the club he's at? Give me that. Give me that. I want that.
I'll tell you that, dude. I'll say that shit on mic. Who do you want?
But sometimes it'll be like. But sometimes it'll be like their friend.
Oh yeah.
Give me that. Yeah. You know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I have to tell you a story because we have to go to this thing.
Yeah. All right, gang.
What time is the actual show? 8?
It's at 7:30.
Fuck. Okay.
But it's about a half an hour to get there. We can show up a little late. It's funny where we're going. I don't like doing the I'm a comic thing.
I know.
But it works.
But I'm friends with the guy whose show it is.
Yeah, totally.
And I think you are too.
Absolutely. Like I'm not worried about that. I just know sometimes the door. It depends who's working the door.
Well, sometimes they also go, yeah, I could let you in for free, but it takes money away from the comics.
Yep.
Okay, I'll give you $10. Fucking don't do that to me.
I know. So it's funny. This is a thing I've learned from getting concert tickets when I was young. Like my brother had a hookup at a venue, right? Your first cool hookup. And you're like, oh, I want to see this band, blah, blah, blah. And I always felt bad asking for tickets. And they were like, if it's a popular band, you can almost always go.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a underground band, they're probably not selling a lot of tickets.
So you should buy one.
And they notice it.
Yeah.
So when you show up and if we show up and it's sold out, we're strolling right in.
It will be.
If it's like fucking empty, which I don't think it will be, but if it's empty for some reason, I guess we'll buy a couple tickets.
Nah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
And that's kind of my metric for how hard I push. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if they're gonna guilt you, they always guilt you when it's like an empty crowd.
Yeah, I also think showing up a little late helps. You're like, I'm a comic, half the show's over.
Come on.
Anyway, I have to tell you a story about a time I almost died.
Yeah.
So that we can fucking make this a podcast.
Hey, Lizzy.
This feels inorganic. Thank you.
Hey, Lizzy.
Yeah?
You got a story for us?
I do. And it's a good one. You ready for this shit?
Boy, you're like, oh man,
I forgot about this story, and then I was like, oh my god, this is fucking crazy.
I was like, is this crazier than the heart stuff?
No, it's not as like intense, and it's also not as close to death, but it is fucking crazy.
All right, what happened?
Okay, so probably like 8 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Crown Heights, Brooklyn.
Okay.
Doing drugs.
Okay, what drugs?
Well, I was mostly smoking weed, to be honest. But I was what we call in the biz like a garbage pail addict. I'll put anything in here.
Because I know you were big on pills for a while. Yeah,
but this was in my like heavy weed phase.
Okay.
But I definitely was doing other drugs at the time. I don't know if I was like partying on other drugs or doing them all the time. I can't remember.
But this night you were just stoned.
I think so.
Okay.
I was going to buy more weed. I might have been on a little bit of something.
Okay.
Who knows? Who's to say? So I was probably on a little bit of something. Anyway, I went to buy weed from one of my friends who lived like a few subway stops away from me, off of the Ralph C train stop.
The
Ralph.
Okay.
So I buy the weed.
Where the fuck is
we get
Ralph?
High as fuck. Ralph is Crown Heights.
No, but so it was in your name. Sorry, you said a couple stops.
It's like deep Crown Heights.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I go, I buy the weed. We smoke. We're friends, so we get high together. I'm like,
even if they're not friends, you pick up the weed. You gotta smoke it with that. That's how the economy used to work. I'm
like blunt to the face, zooted. Like I am like,
blunt to the face, zooted. Write that down.
One blunt of my own to the whole face.
Yeah.
Zooted, just high as can be, going back home. Right. So I go back to the Ralph C stop. There's nobody down there except for there's like a guy next to me.
Oh, fuck.
And then there's a woman my age across from me.
I don't like where this is going.
And then I hear a woman screaming. And me and the woman across from me make eye contact. And we're both like...
What kind of scream?
Scared.
Okay.
Definitely scared.
Okay.
And me and the woman across from me are making eye contact, and we're both like, you heard that too.
Yeah.
And then we hear her scream again, and we hear a man yelling. And we're both like, fuck, this sucks.
I'm gonna have to
the
do
guy
something.
next to me, big guy, goes upstairs. He's out. He's not doing anything.
What?
And so me and the woman across from me are like, okay, so I guess this is up to us.
Yeah.
We go, we walk. We're like keeping eye contact and slowly walking towards the sound.
And you're high as a guy.
And I'm high as like the top of the threshold for being high. You know? I'm like,
you feel bad.
Yeah, I feel scared and bad. Yeah. And like I don't really know what's going on, but I'm very good when there's a dangerous situation. I'm very good at locking in. Mm-hmm. So that'll happen. Mm-hmm. That'll happen in this story at some point.
Hey, stay tuned.
And the girl,
Lizzie's gonna get locked in.
I'm about to lock in.
All right.
And the girl across from me, like, I can tell that her and we're like telepathically connected already.
Okay.
We're like, we're locked in with each other.
Okay.
So we're walking
you guys
like
have synced up.
Yeah, dude, we're walking like in stride with each other. Like every time one of us moves, the other one moves, and we're like getting closer to the situation, but also trying to not get ourselves hurt. Because like at this point, we don't even know which side of the tracks. Because she's across from me.
Yeah.
Going the other way, we don't even know which side of the tracks these people are on.
You know, there's a general screams coming from this way.
Somebody needs help.
We should investigate. Okay.
Somebody's got to do something. Mm-hmm. So we go a little closer. There's a woman standing in the corner on my side of the on my platform.
Okay.
And a man standing in front of her. Her lip is bloody.
Fuck.
Her face is fucked up.
Nope.
Obviously, he was just hitting her.
Yeah.
And me and this girl are like looking at each other like, do we call the cops? What do we do right now? And before we can do anything, they're arguing, they're yelling. Before we can do anything, she walks away from him and goes and sits on the edge of the platform. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that sucks. I don't like that. And she like kicks her shoes off onto the tracks. Okay. And I was like, I don't like that. And now I'm kind of like focused on them. I'm not really focused on the other girl. And he's yelling at her still, calling her names, calling her stupid, all this stuff. So I just kind of go, hey, you should scoot back a little. Why don't you scoot back a little? Yeah. She doesn't hear me at all. She's fully focused on like this guy berating her and calling her names and shit. And I'm like, hey, you're kind of freaking me out. I just scoot back a little and we can figure this out. I'm like saying stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'll help you, but just like scoot back a little. And she's like talking about how her feet hurt. Her feet are all fucked up. Her face is all fucked up. And I'm like, just
and her
like.
feet are dangling over the tracks.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm like, I just keep being like, let's just scoot back a little.
Time out. Did she seem fucked up? Like,
no.
Like she was hit, but like she didn't seem drunk or.
No, and I think I can say this now because I found this out later. She ended up telling me that she's bipolar, and she was having like an episode.
Okay.
And this guy is clearly just like an evil man.
And not her. Yeah.
They know each other.
No, but he's like not helping her.
No.
Clearly. So
I'm like sort of telling her to scoot back, but I'm also scared because this guy is scary.
Yeah.
You know.
How big was he?
He wasn't that big.
Paint us a picture.
He was probably like the same size as you.
I'm actually huge. The camera, and maybe if you've only listened, sounded my voice, very deceiving.
And that's just not big to me because I'm so tough.
Yeah, I'm actually 6'7", 6'8". I forget.
So he was like,
I don't even think about my height because I'm so tall.
So he was like 6'8", 450 of all muscle.
Brick shit house. Yeah.
No, he was just like a regular fucking guy.
Yeah.
And she was.
Thank you.
And they were both regular.
Yeah. Regular style.
She's just like not hearing me, and I'm still kind of far away. Mm-hmm. And then she gets on the tracks.
Oh, okay. Shoeless.
And I'm like,
by the way,
shoeless on the tracks.
If you've never been to New York,
sucks.
New York, specific, because any other city I've been to, they somehow keep the floor of the
the floor is dirt in New York.
It's literally like a couple inches thick. It looks like It looks like a cast iron skillet.
It looks like,
you know what I mean?
Also, these subway stations in Brooklyn, it looks like they like stopped building on the ground. No, like it looks like that's the dirt that was always there.
And there are literally rats running around.
And and the Ralph C is not one of the nice stations in New York.
I just want to say, obviously, oh no, we're thinking train, but you should also know that
wait, don't give it away.
That hopping down there is not. I don't know what I'm giving away. I'm just saying, it's
well,
not even a place you would, even if there was, let's say all the trains were off or whatever, you'll sometimes see workers down there working on stuff. I'm still
it's still a dangerous place.
I'm saying that is the nastiest, filthiest place. Yeah. You might as well be walking through a sewer.
Right.
Absolutely disgusting. And she's shoeless.
She's on the tracks.
Rats running around, walking on the tracks, bleeding.
Crying.
And an absolute massive, sexy man is yelling at her. Go on.
So she gets on the tracks, and I look at the girl across from me, and I yell to her, I go, run upstairs and tell them to stop the train.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, tell them someone's on the tracks. Go tell them to stop the train.
Good instincts.
So she bolts up the stairs.
Yeah.
Love her, by the way. Never met her. Love her. Mm-hmm. She bolts up the stairs. Now I get closer to where the girl is. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Let's just talk about what's going on. Let's figure out what's going on, and we can talk about this or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just trying to say something. Yeah. And he's still yelling at her. Yeah. And I honestly, at this point, I'm you're
trying to figure out what's going on in her head to make sure she's not going to do anything drastic.
Also, I've told people this story before, and they're like, wow, you're so brave for staying there. I don't think I am. I truly, the whole time in my head was if I see this woman get squished by a train, I will be different forever. And I can't handle that.
That's part of it, but
you know what I mean, though. I was this is and of course I wanted to, of course I did, but I'm also this is not happening right now.
Yeah,
this can't happen right now. I can't know. My point is, I can't know that I did nothing.
Yeah,
and let her get squished by a train.
That's what bravery is.
So I'm talking to her, whatever. The other girl comes sprinting back down the stairs, so smart. Doesn't say it out loud, looks at me and goes, the train is not coming, mouths it to me.
Oh, awesome. Great.
So she doesn't know now that the train's not coming, but I do.
Are you sure it wasn't, I couldn't find anybody?
No, she was over-accentuated mouthing to me, it's not coming. Train is stopped, it's not coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's the train's not coming.
Yeah.
So I'm tight. I still can't get her to talk to me.
Tight, chill, for sure.
And her shoes are off, remember? Mm-hmm. So she starts walking towards the third rail.
Okay.
If you don't live in New York, you don't know this. There's 2 tracks, and then there's another rail that's covered by a piece of metal. That rail is electric. If you touch it, you will be electrocuted.
It's what supplies power to the trains.
And there's a metal guard over it, but part of it is exposed.
Yeah.
And if you touch it, you will be electrocuted. You'll probably die.
Yeah.
So she starts walking over to the third rail, and I'm like, fuck, I know exactly what she's doing. Mm-hmm. She's going to touch it.
You think she's doing it on purpose?
Yeah. She's thinking about touching it with her foot.
Oh.
So I get on the tracks.
Okay.
I just don't know what happened. I just, all of a sudden, I'm on the tracks.
Really?
And I'm like, hey, come over here. I'm like, hey, hi, come over here. Yeah. Come talk to me over here.
No.
Over here on this side of where the third rail is. And I'm like, hey, come over here. Come talk to me over here. And she's just freaking out. The guy's yelling at her at one point. Now that I'm in the tracks and he's not, I turn to the guy and I'm like, you need to shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. I need you to not be part of this anymore. This is way bigger than you being mad at her.
Yeah.
But I didn't say all that. I was just you need to shut the fuck up. You need to stop. So he stops, weirdly.
Great.
And now I'm talking to her, and then he's still kind of egging her on, but not as much as before. She's hysterical. She's looking around at the third rail still. I have my hand out to her, but I'm also don't grab it right before you touch it,
Yeah.
And I'm like, come over here, talk to me, whatever. And then he says something about a baby.
Oh boy.
But I was like, this is my in.
Ah.
So he says something about a baby, and I go, tell me about your baby.
Nice.
I go, you have a baby? Tell me about your baby.
Okay. Can we talk negotiation?
So I've watched a lot of these hostage negotiation, SVU, Criminal Minds. There's a show called Flashpoint that's only a hostage negotiation. I watched these shows.
Where do these instincts come from? Because
I don't know.
100% what you're supposed to do. I think you're supposed to find an emotional center.
Yeah. So for some reason, I just thought of that. I don't know why.
Awesome.
So I go.
And then she dished.
I go, tell me about.
She told you all the tea.
She goes, this fucking guy, first of all. I go, tell me about your baby. And she was like, I have a son. He's like, I think he was like almost 2. And she's like, I can't afford to buy him a winter jacket. I'm like a bad mother, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm like, you're not a bad mother. It's okay. We can figure this out. But like, what you're thinking about right now isn't the answer. And she's like hysterical and blah, blah, blah. And the guy starts yelling again. And at this point, she's like a little closer to me. And I grab her arm and she looks at me for the first time. And we're like making eye contact. And I point to the guy and I go, if you do what you're thinking about doing right now, your kid is going to be left with that fucking guy. And I don't think that that's what you want because you sound like a pretty good mom to me. And then she like kind of snaps out of it.
And then was just like.
And she's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm freaking out. I don't even know where I am right now. And I was like, that's okay. Everything's okay. But we do have to get the fuck out of here.
Jesus, dude.
And she's like, okay. And I'm like, we have to get off the fucking train tracks and then we'll figure everything else out. And she's like, okay, but she's like, where are my shoes? Like, she's just like, she's not well. So she's not she's not thinking about things the way anyone else would in this moment. Right. So she's like, where are my shoes? I'm like, don't worry about the fucking shoes. Yeah. We just got to get out of here. And she's like, my feet hurt. And I was like, I know your feet hurt. I'll give you my shoes when we get out of here. We just have to get out of here. And so we go to get off the train tracks, but I don't think people know this. I didn't know this. They're so much deeper than you think.
Yeah, dude, it's really hard to get out of there.
I would have had to do like a pull-up with my arms straight above my head.
Yeah.
So I go over to the wall and I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't get myself and her out of here.
You're like shoulder
and
height.
she's injured.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're well above my head. This was like, I would have literally had to put my arms straight up to get out. So I have to ask the guy because the guy's like, you know, he's like not tall, but I don't know. He's probably kind of strong. I'm like,
he's got to pull you up. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, you have to help us out of here.
Yeah. There's no ladder down there or anything?
I don't know. I couldn't. Yeah. I'm high. She's bipolar. We're not thinking straight.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to walk and find a ladder and like give her time to change her mind. So I'm like trying to convince the guy to help us out. And then the train comes. I see the headlights of the train and I'm like, no. I'm like, no. Yeah.
Where's the girl across the way? Where are the people that work at this station?
Not here.
Right.
So there's like a corner. So I see the reflection of the lights like on the wall. And I'm like, no. The fucking train's coming. I'm thinking about every story about people who laid down in between the tracks or people who hugged the wall. I'm like, how do I ditch her and just like get off? Yeah. But then the train turns the corner and it's going so slow.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, oh, they knew. They're okay. We're chill. We're good. It's going slow. I can see the conductor. The conductor's looking at me like, I'm like, not me. It's not me. I don't know.
Dude, train conductors must deal with this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Somebody's AirPod falls.
He did not seem to care.
Yeah.
So they pull in to like the edge of the tunnel and he stops. And I think that made it real for the other two, the guy and the girl that were there.
Oh, yeah.
And so he helps us out.
Right. You're fucking better, dude.
Yeah, so he helps us out. I'm like, are you good? Whatever. And then 2 cops come down on the other side where the girl who said to stop the train was.
Okay.
So I see the 2 cops.
Finally.
I turn around. The guy's gone.
Oh, yeah, dude.
The guy just fucking absolutely got the fuck out of there.
Absolutely he did.
And I'm
just
like
beating the shit out of this girl and then the cops show up.
And I'm like, good.
Yeah.
You know? And now this girl, she's like, she's probably like 18 or 19. She's a black woman.
The shoeless girl or the one who...
The one I was helping.
Okay.
The one who was on the tracks. She's a black woman. She's mentally ill. She is absolutely 100% afraid of the police, which I totally understand. So now she's freaking out about that. And I was like, it's okay. We're just going to walk out of here.
Yeah.
They're on the other side. We're just going to walk out of here and then we'll figure it out from there. So I like grab her arm. I take her up the stairs. She's like fiddling with this envelope she has that has like IDs and stuff in it for some reason. Because like cops always ask you for your ID.
Yeah.
And she's like fiddling with it. And I go, you don't have your ID on you.
Yeah.
You don't have your ID on you.
Smart.
So she puts it back in her pocket. We go upstairs. We get to like the upstairs part of the train station where like the turnstiles and stuff are. There's probably, and I'm not exaggerating, 35 cops.
That sounds about right. Of course.
it's like there was a donut sale at the train station.
Now that it's time to book someone.
Yes.
They all show up.
So there's 35 cops. She grabs my arm. She's like digging her nails into my arm, fucking scared for her life.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, everything is fine. Mm-hmm. We're just going to walk out of here. You didn't do anything wrong. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea if that's true. But I'm like, by the way, not for nothing, I have a 1/4 ounce of weed on me. Great. Love that for me. And this, kids, is before weed was fucking legal.
I forgot you were high. Yeah.
And people forget that weed wasn't legal.
Yeah.
So I'm zooted, 35 cops, weed.
You reek
She's
of weed.
freaking out. I'm trying to help her. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm going down for this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're just gonna walk out of here.
She's
and then,
bleeding, shoeless. Awesome.
Yeah, and they're looking at her like a fucking criminal.
Right.
She's clearly just been beaten.
Right. But they're cops, so.
But they're cops.
That's kind of like, that's how they like their women.
So the cops stop us, and they're like, basically, I forget exactly what they said, but they're basically like, so what's the plan? Like that kind of energy. They're like, so what are we doing now? And I was like, we're just going to go outside. You can talk to us outside, but we need to go outside. I was like, we have to get out of this train station. We have to go outside. So we go outside. The cops follow us. There's more cop cars outside. It's like this woman had an AK-47 and a bomb strapped to her chest. Mm-hmm. So we get above ground. Don't know what happened. Now the other girl, she must have gone home. Don't know what happened to her, but love her. Shout out to her. So we get above ground. Tons of cops, whatever. They pull her away from me. They're like interrogating her. They're yelling at her. She's upset. I'm talking to this other cop, and he's like asking me all these questions, and I'm like, I don't know shit. Because I don't know if like
I just got here.
I don't know if she has priors. I don't know if this guy has priors. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know shit. I just helped her up. I don't know anything. And the cop is like talking to me, and I'm like, listen, she had told me that she lives in the Bronx. She was trying to get home to the Bronx, very far from where we were.
Right.
And the cop is like, listen, she's not getting in the ambulance. She refuses to get in the ambulance, but we can't let her get back on the train. So what do you want to do? And I went, what do you mean, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
I don't know anything. And I go, well, can one of you just drive her home? She's just trying to get home. She's obviously had a hard day.
Cops will not do that.
Can somebody just drive her home?
Yeah.
And this cop looks at me and goes, well, we're Brooklyn police and she lives in the Bronx, so we can't. And I said to the cop, I go, that's interesting because I'm not any, or he goes, so we can't, but you can, if you want to, you can get her a car home.
Yeah.
And I go, that's interesting because I'm not any police.
Yeah.
So between the two of us,
dude,
I think the person who should take her home is you, right? And he's like, well, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, great. And he goes, she doesn't want to get in the ambulance. All we can do for her is give her an ambulance. I don't know what else you want from us, but we're not letting her back on that train. She doesn't have the money for an Uber to the Bronx. I don't have the money for an Uber to the Bronx. I can't make that money appear out of thin air.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're yelling at her to get in an ambulance, by the way. Cops. The EMT is chilling by the truck. Cops screaming at her that she has to get in this ambulance. She thinks she's fucking being arrested. So I was like, can I talk to her? And they were like, yeah, you can talk to her. So I go over to her and I'm like, listen, here's what's going to happen. And at this point, I'm kind of like, you need to work with me here a little bit. Yeah. But I'm like, here's what's going to happen. And I don't know if this is true, but this is what I told her. I was like, you're going to get in the ambulance. They're going to take you to a hospital. You don't have your ID on you, so you won't be charged for it. Mm-hmm. They're going to make your foot feel better. They're probably going to give you a pill that's going to make you feel better. And they'll give you a sandwich and you can sleep in a warm bed. Does that sound like something we can do?
Nice.
And she's like, okay, I'll get in the ambulance. And I'm like, we did it! We saved a life! And then she goes, if you'll come with me. And I'm like, no! No, I don't want to go. Meanwhile, you guys know from the last episode, I have all this trauma around hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to go to the fucking hospital.
Plus, you had plans. You were.
I'm high as hell.
You don't want to.
Well, I'm also bringing weed to my roommates. They're waiting. Hello, we're all drug addicts.
This is a big commitment, lady.
So I'm like, yeah, fine, whatever. I'll get in the fucking ambulance. It's like the only option we have at this point.
Ugh.
So I get in the ambulance with her. The EMTs are cool as fuck.
Okay.
They're like so nice. They're looking at her foot. They're talking to her like she's a person finally. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're just going to go. It's fine. Like, we're going to take you to the hospital. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Whatever. We're kind of doing jokes now, me and the EMT guy. Also, at this point, she's like, this is when she tells us that has bipolar disorder. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And she goes, literally some version of, I was fucking crazy back there. Like, she's like, now she's fully come down. And she's like, I don't know what that was. That was not like me, dude. I don't know what happened back there. And I'm like, that's cool. It happens.
I love that. Can I also say, real quick, every EMT that I've met is cool.
Same. They're all like chill, cool people.
I think there's something about being like out and about, like you're seeing a lot of crazy shit, but it's also like a little like dealing with the public.
Yes.
In a way.
And I also think that like, especially New York City EMTs, like I think homeless people and mentally ill people are very humanized to them in the way that they're not to the rest of us.
Definitely.
Because that's most of the calls they're getting.
I was going to say.
And they're people who are just having a hard time and need their help.
I was going to say that what a relief to have like an easy customer.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say too.
If you're easy, they're so chill.
And also they're like, oh, she's not currently freaking the fuck out. You know, like we don't have to like give her Haldol to get her to stop trying to hit us.
Yeah.
You know? So we're chilling in the ambulance. We get to the probably Kings County Hospital. We get out of the ambulance, and I had a pack of cigarettes in my jean jacket pocket that was like visible. And she goes, man, I want a cigarette so fucking bad. And I turned to the EMT and I'm like, can she have a cigarette before she goes in? Is that like crazy? And he's like, she can have a cigarette if I can have a cigarette. And I was like, let's all have a cigarette. And so I light a cigarette for myself. I hand one to the EMT. I go to hand one to her. And she's like, oh, can I just have a drag of yours? And this is like, I'm adding this part to make this not a story about how I was like some fucking hero. She's got a busted lip. She takes a drag of my cigarette. I go, you can keep it. I don't want it back.
Totally keep it.
You can totally keep that. And so she's like, finishes her cigarette. And she's like, okay, let's go inside. And this is the point where I go, hey, I really want the best for you. I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this for the next, because now it's like,
dude,
now when you get out, I have to figure out how to get you home. Like,
dude, they're going to hand you paperwork. You've already put in your time.
I don't know your name.
We're done here. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally fine. Totally fine. You gave her a cigarette.
So I go, hey, I'm not coming in, but I'm like, I really do care about what happens to you. I'll give you my phone number.
Oh, yeah?
And she had lost her phone. So I write down my phone number. Whatever. She goes inside. I go home. I take an Uber home at this point because I'm like, I'm not going back to that fucking train. And also, I'm 10 minutes from my house. I should have taken an Uber home. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad I didn't. But, you know. So I take an Uber home. I get inside. My roommates are like, you know, love them. But they're like, what happened? Why did that take so fucking long? They probably think I fucked the drug dealer or something.
Right.
My roommates told me that when I walked in, I was gray. And I looked at them, didn't say anything, turned around and threw up in the kitchen sink.
What?
Just because I was so scared the whole time.
Yeah.
I was on the subway tracks. The train was coming. Like, I had so much adrenaline and I was high. And it was like so intense that I just threw up into the kitchen sink. And then I'm telling them the story. And at this point, I don't even really know what happened. But I'm just telling them, like, I was on the tracks. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I get a phone call from a number I don't recognize.
Oh.
And I answer it. And this girl had made me her emergency contact at the hospital.
No.
So they asked me all these questions, like if she's on any medication, blah, blah. I'm like, honestly, I don't know her. So I hang up, whatever. I'm like feeling so weird. I get another phone call from a number I don't recognize. I answer it. Don't know how this happened. It's the guy.
Yeah, she probably gave it to him. Fuck.
Yeah. But I don't even know. She didn't have a phone.
Maybe she has his number memorized.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the guy. He's yelling at me. I'm like, you fuck all the way off and stay away from her and don't ever contact me again. I block his number. And that's the end of the story. I don't know what happened to them.
That's it?
That's it.
That's how it ends?
That's how it ends.
I'm sure she lived a happy, full life.
So.
A rich, full life.
And
that guy learned the error of his ways. And he gave her nightly foot rubs and daily flowers.
Maybe.
Nah, probably not. Probably not.
But I do think that she probably had like a nice night in that hospital.
If I save
and hey, she didn't kill herself.
Remember that song? Hey, she didn't kill herself.
She didn't kill herself that night.
How to save a life.
Isn't that crazy though?
That is fucking wild. And I was going to share you know, we've talked about our own experiences. We haven't talked about those kinds of brushes with
but I think that counts for me because I was on the tracks.
Oh, that 100% counts. We tell other people's stories all the time. This is just a first-hand account. That is absolutely fucking crazy. I have questions about the thing. I was about to dive into a story about I was with my brother and he saved a guy from a burning building, but we'll have to talk about that another time.
Wow.
But, okay. When you're down there.
Yeah.
Right? do you, while you were, well, no, wait, you already answered this. You said next thing you know, you're on the tracks, which means your body just sprung into action. You weren't, because I kind of have this mental image of you shimmying off the platform, and it's kind of funny to me.
Yeah, I don't remember really how I got down there.
But for all we know, you did a fucking backflip.
Yeah,
you went full Jean-Claude
Let's call it
Van
that. I probably landed on like my knees.
Oh, God.
Also, I do remember when I got home, my clothes were filthy.
Yeah, dude.
From like trying to get up that wall and shit. Like everything I was wearing was covered in dirt.
Did your roommates believe you? The idea of being like, hey, I'm going to go get some weed, and then you come back a couple hours later and you're like, oh.
My roommates believed me because I was visibly traumatized.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, something has happened. And also they were there for the phone calls.
Did you get her first name?
No. I don't even know her name.
You don't know her name at all?
She probably told me that night and I forgot it, honestly.
Man, that's fucking wild. So you were just like pure adrenaline.
Yeah, I think that's something, especially like because I grew up like working with horses and working with kids around horses. I've been in a lot of situations where something really scary happened very quickly. Uh-huh. And I am good at like running towards it and locking in.
Yeah.
And not running away from it. That is like one of the things I'll give myself. When something scary is happening, I will get involved and I will just. Last night I was on the train to Connecticut. Some guy sat down to some girl. Sat next down. Guy sat down next to some girl. He had been talking to her on the platform. I could tell she didn't know him. So I spent the whole train ride making eyes with her in case he did something weird. I just like am compelled always.
I know that about
you.
To
be involved.
I've seen you, not to the extent of jumping on train tracks, but I've seen you exercising the hey man, why don't you just fuck off and leave her alone?
Yeah.
I've seen you do that. You do not like somebody being pushed around. You hate a bully.
I hate
bullies too, dude.
I hate men who push women around like that.
Mm-hmm.
That really is like a big thing for me where I'm like, don't fucking talk to her like that.
When you said, working with horses, I thought you were going to spin into some sort of southern...
No.
A man is a lot like a horse.
A man is supposed to take care of a woman like a horse.
A man... Oh, yeah.
A man is supposed to protect a woman like a horse would.
Feed her a carrot or
Horses, by the way, not protective animals. Prey animals, they will run. They will run. But if you have a bond, they'll try to keep you on them. But they'll run. They'll run away.
Yeah, lady like a horse, she'll spook.
She'll spook. She gets scared.
She gets scared. She gonna wind up on them train track.
No, it's just, what I meant by that is like if I see someone fall and they're bleeding profusely, I'm not gonna get queasy. I'm gonna run over and like tie a shirt around their arm. Just because I've been exposed to it a lot.
You snap in action. I get it. I also think like we've talked about like working in restaurants and stuff. It kind of trains you for that. Yeah. Much like I think EMTs are trained the same way. And
working in comedy clubs, there's like crazy fucking people that come to comedy clubs.
That's true.
People are getting kicked out of comedy clubs every day.
That's true.
And it is like a confrontational environment.
Sometimes people just freeze in these situations. I've been in so many things where it's like people are just like, or they're like trying to like explain away let's weigh our options. It's like, we gotta fucking move.
And I do think it's definitely possible that if someone else had been with me, we could have convinced ourselves to not get involved.
Oh, that's interesting.
We could have been like, this is dangerous for us.
That will happen.
In order to protect each other, we should get out of here.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason I did that is because I was alone. Mm-hmm. Because then it's just on me to be like, I'm going to get out of here, and I don't feel comfortable doing that. Mm-hmm. I would need somebody else to say, you need to protect yourself. You need to not get on the train tracks. You know?
Man, that's tough. I mean, the first thing out of your mouth the first step that you took was to say to the person across the way, like, tell them to stop the train.
Yeah. Well, she was already in it with me. You know what I mean? Like, we were already moving towards them together. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just mean, it's not like you jumped on the tracks and then we're like...
Right, yeah, I didn't jump on the tracks before I knew the train wasn't coming.
Yeah, you had an order of operations.
Yeah.
You got the signal and you made your move.
I think ADHD people are good at this.
100% we are.
I think we're good at being like, I can see all the moving parts of this emergency.
Yes, dude.
You do this, I'm going to do this.
Yes, dude. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. And it can be frustrating when you're with people that maybe are, like I said, like they'll explain, like, let's consider it's like I've already done a million calculations in my special
I already
brain.
know what's going to happen in 5 minutes. I'm there. You need to get there or just do what I tell you.
Yeah. I was built for this. Yeah. Dude.
I also think I didn't know at the time that she had bipolar disorder, but I do think part of this is I grew up babysitting a kid who had severe bipolar disorder.
Oh, really?
So I knew how to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I knew how to calm him down when he would freak out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helped. I think some other people just not this is not like a morality thing, just based on not having that specific experience would not know how to talk to that person.
Yeah.
Do you know, like I remember one time, this is a good example of this. He like loved crafting. So I would babysit him and he would just do crafts all day. Mm. And that was most of our time together. But sometimes something would happen that would set him off. And one time he was using these really sharp fabric scissors and he cut his finger.
Okay.
And it wasn't that bad, but it was bleeding a lot and he fucking lost it, dude. He was freaking the fuck out. And I just like talked to him and I grabbed a towel, wrapped his finger in it. And I was like, hey man, fingers bleed a lot. I don't know if that's true. I have no fucking idea if that's true. Yeah. But I'm like, fingers bleed a lot. It's okay. You probably don't even need stitches. We're cool. We're hanging out. Yeah. Everything's fine. I wrapped in a towel, not a paper towel, on purpose so that he wouldn't see it anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's just things like that where I was like, I know what's going on here. But I was zooted.
How old were you at the time?
Probably 20.
So you didn't
maybe 19, 20.
You didn't start comedy yet?
No, this was before.
Yeah.
This was shortly before.
Crazy.
Dude,
good story.
I think that's a good story.
Thank you for helping that woman.
I'm glad I helped that woman.
Yeah.
I'm glad that me and that girl were the people who were down there.
Yeah.
And not just that one guy who left or whatever, you know? I'm glad she wasn't alone with the guy who was abusing her.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a really, really sad story.
He didn't jump down on the tracks or anything to help her.
He just yelled at her. I think he got on the tracks when we needed help getting up.
Yeah, okay.
But the train was already visibly stopped.
Yeah, but it sounds like he was just on the platform, like yelling at her, like for doing what she was doing.
Yeah, calling her stupid.
Yeah.
The whole time he was calling her stupid.
That will never work.
Well, I don't think he wanted it to work. I think he wanted to be mean to her.
Yeah.
I mean, he had been punching her in the face before people could see him. Ugh. You know what I mean? Like, he's a bad guy.
Bad guy. Man, great story.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. We got to go.
I know, we got to run.
Hey, man.
But hey, we got maybe one more of these to do.
How does it feel knowing you're a hero?
Oh, my God. By the way, one of the cops said that to me, and I went, fuck off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, not those exact words, but he was like, hey, thanks for doing the right thing. And I said something like, well, you guys could have, but yeah, sure.
Well, okay. You know, part of me goes, why did it take him so long? And then I'm also like, every experience I know is that it's.
And he gave me his card. I remember. Cops love giving you their card and being like, if you're in a jam. So he gave me his card. I have a quarter ounce of weed in my backpack. I took the card and in my head was like, you have no idea how soon I might have to use this. I might have to use this with you in 5 minutes.
You did do the right thing though.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know. I think I did the right thing, but I also think I did the only thing that you can do.
Ooh, good answer.
You know what I mean? Like, what was I going to do? Not do that?
Yeah, I mean.
Not try?
You could have, but I don't think, I don't know. I don't think I would have a lot in common with you if you did.
That's what I mean. Like, I think to a person like me, it doesn't make sense to do anything other than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, scary. Hey, how about this? If anybody listening's ever saved someone.
Ooh,
I would love to hear stories
good.
like that.
Yeah, call in.
470 not dead.
Closecallspodcast@gmail.com if you're scared. If you're scared of letting us hear you.
If you're a little baby and you're scared.
But if you want, you can make a voice memo on your phone and then send it to us on our email if leaving a voicemail is intimidating.
And that kind of works better because we found that the voicemail thing shuts off after like 2 minutes.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, you can. If you're worried about like only having one chance to tell the story the right way, you can record it on your voice memos.
All right. We got to run. Bye, gang.
Love you. Say it back.
Say it back.
Message us.
Write I love you in a review.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.